Did I intro last time?
Yeah.
Okay. So you want to intro this time?
Um,
I had it.
I don't know.
Okay. I can intro. That's
this
fine.
is related to the story I'm gonna tell.
Oh, well, do we want to like cold open?
Sure, we can cold open. I went to a party on Saturday, right?
Okay.
They had some edibles there, and I have not had edibles before in my life.
Oh.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And the person whose house I was at, they're more experienced in the ways of the weed than I.
I think I know where this is going.
So I did not anticipate how strong this edible was going to be. I had half an edible, and then after an hour, I was like fine.
Mm-hmm.
And then I had another half.
No.
And from there, everything's kind of a blur. I distinctly remember somebody asking if I was okay, and then I couldn't finish my sentence.
Oh, no.
And I felt really bad. I just started tripping, and I didn't want to. Ended up staying at this person's place until like noon the next day. And I've taken off work 2 days in a row because I'm still feeling very out of it, but I'm feeling better today. But
That's good.
enough to play a visual novel and talk about it. But
Yeah.
the past couple of days have been really enlightening.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. Yeah, you should never take the next half.
no.
Because I had the opposite experience in that I like thought about taking more and didn't.
Yes.
And then like 30 minutes later, I was like, I'm so glad I did not take more.
Yeah.
Because I am a little too high right now, and it would be even worse.
Yep.
So, Godspeed. Having something of a milk inside a bag of milk experience.
That's right.
IRL.
That's right.
Content warnings for this video game are listed in the podcast description.
She's just like me for real.
I was looking up the endings to the second game.
Yeah.
And there's so many fucking people who want this girl to smile. It's so gross.
Yeah, we'll talk about this, I think. But yeah, welcome to Safe Room, a podcast about having horrible experiences. I'm Grace.
Yeah, I'm Rose. Hello.
Hello. Well, and today we're talking about, as we alluded to, we're talking about milk inside a bag of milk, inside a bag of milk, and the sequel, milk outside a bag of milk, outside a bag of milk. Yeah, they are horror visual novels. You play as well, I guess it's kind of unclear how old she is, but like late high school probably age. Who is dealing with various mental issues and is going to pick up a bag of milk for her mother from the grocery store. And she does that. And that's the first game. basically. Yeah, how did you hear about this, by the way? Because it's kind of had a bit of a buzz. Sakurai had it in his video as you posted in the Discord.
Oh, that was funny. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's had a bit of like waves beyond sort of, because it's like I think it's an itch title originally, right? Kind of small itch game. Kind of.
I found out about it initially from a friend who mentioned it. And then I saw Kim, our mutual friend Kim, playing it as well. And that wanted me to give it a go. I wasn't familiar with it outside of having people who have played it. So I wasn't aware of it when it first came out.
Yeah. Oh yeah, these are both older than I thought they were. Because Milk Inside is 2020 and Milk Outside is 2021.
Okay. Interesting.
Till end of 2021. Yeah, I think kind of similar. I think I heard about it from Kim maybe first. Yeah, I don't know. I'm trying to think. People compare it to like Serial Experiments Lane, I think. And it's kind of like the game is sort of, you're privy to this girl's like inner thoughts, and she kind of has this conversation with this sort of entity that is you. Well, is kind of you and not you, because you like, anyway. Because in the first game, it's basically like you play as this entity who's talking to her and trying to help her, you know, go through all the little mundane things she has to do to go to the store. Yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah. No, you're the meds. You're the meds.
Yeah, you're the meds. Yeah, you're sort of the stuff you're. And then there is a scene in Milk Inside where she like directly addresses the player, basically, and you like type in stuff using your keyboard or the Switch keyboard. In my situation was a little weird.
That part's so sick. For as long as the second game is there's nothing in it that's as sick as that. Honestly.
Yeah, it's cool. I think it's like, I'm trying to figure out how to talk about this. Yeah, but I think the principal thing that I do really appreciate it, very much against what people obsessed with making this girl smile, is that you can't really make things that much better. You know, that it's like fundamentally she is still in a really bad situation. It's like heavily implied that her mother is abusive. Well, I kind of externally shown in, or abstractly shown in Milk Outside.
Yeah.
And so, you know, but you can like make things easier for her. It's not nothing, you know, but it is not. I think it would be very easy to make a game like this where it's like, oh, you're like the cool boyfriend who makes things good for this sad girl, and it's just very much not that, right?
Yeah. This one, the first one has a fail state. I don't think the second one does.
No, not really.
But yeah, so if you like intentionally say stuff to make her uncomfortable or piss her off, she'll just say, you know, because the game has you like insert your name at the beginning. It's like, oh,
right.
It looks like blank isn't helping me today because I'll try something else. Which is great. I love that. There's so many things in, especially the first one, that go unsaid, or you can choose to make go unsaid.
Yeah.
That just implies a lot. And so like, you know, a visual novel game where you are the meds sounds corny as hell, but it really works here because it's not, they don't say that. It's just, if you have depression and have taken meds, you get it, you know?
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. I really liked that aspect of it. It just felt very seen playing through it.
Yeah, it's I think, I mean, it's trying to be very sort of pared down and especially the first one, I think we'll kind of talk, because the second one is, I mean, it's bigger in scope and it's more ambitious, just kind of generally.
Yeah.
And I think that kind of works both for and against it.
Yeah.
Because the first game is really a brief kind of experience. And I think it's interesting. I mean, this is in some ways like another run at something like Depression Quest, right? But like kind of you said, it's way less like it's not, this is a game about mental illness in the same way, or like this is about raising awareness, right?
Yeah. It's way more interpretive. Yeah. Not like I don't know, not as, I don't want to say simplistic, but well, it's called Depression Quest, I guess. But
yeah,
you know what I mean, though.
Yeah. I got you. Yeah, one, it's kind of, I mean, the style, it's like this pixelated art, or in the first one, rather. We're going to primarily talk about the first one, then we'll signal when we're going to, like, talk about number two. And it has this kind of, you know, it's like moody music. There is definitely a little bit of, like, itch horror kind of DNA in here. Yeah, and I think it's also nice, like, the way, like you were just talking about the endings, that your presence is not necessarily assumed, that it's like, if you're an asshole, then you don't get to do anything, basically, beyond a certain point. I think that there's something nice about that, you know? And kind of trying to, like, figure out. And the thing is also, you can be, like, there's like nice and like mean kind of, but you can't really be, like, compassionate or, like, there for her in a certain sense, right? Because you're not a person, you know?
Yeah.
There's sort of a lack of, like, and I think there's sort of interesting divide there in the first game, where you have, like, this literal place where you can kind of step in and you type something, right? But, you know, even that has, like, real limitations, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, I like that a lot, because it's not about player empowerment. It's more about placing yourself inside of a character that you're kind of influencing, but not in a major way, I guess.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's just good.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm trying to think if I have anything, like, big to say about the first one. I really like the weird little man that says ooh at you. The O man.
Yeah, oh man's good.
I do feel like that, seeing people and being like, I don't know how to, you know. Yeah, I think it's interesting that there's kind of two responses to this game. I this is being a little simplistic, but I feel like there's the kind of, like, she's just like me for real thing, and there's the I want to make this girl smile thing. And I think that it speaks to, like, the different kind of people that are approaching something like this, right?
Yeah. Well, and that's another thing about the first one, is that it gives you way less space to sort of objectify the protagonist, because it's all just like, you know, crunchy images and text and stuff. You don't really get an idea of what she really looks like outside of, like, the few shots of her that are in there, but not really anything discernible.
Yeah. I mean, I think there's sort of a discomfort with that, like the idea of being seen in the first one.
Yeah.
Right. You know. Yeah. And I think there is something kind of like, and this is obviously, like, really intentional, but there is something kind of, like, voyeuristic about the way the game works, right? And particularly the first one, you can only get, like, fits and starts of that. Right? There's not really, like, a sense that you can really be, even though you're kind of a part of this person, you know, you're a voice in their head, right? You can't really be them.
Yeah.
You know? Yeah. And I think like there's sort of, it's also interesting that even though this is kind of a game about depression or, you know, kind of psychological issues, there's sort of a vague, you know, there's some elements of it are kind of like she's been through some really difficult, like traumatic things. Her dad died in like a car accident, it seems like, right? That's sort of revealed at one point.
Not a car accident, but...
Oh, right. Sorry,
Yeah.
you could explain. I know what you're talking about now, but yeah.
Yeah, there's a really good moment. And how many times did you play through this, by the way? Because I
played through it twice, I think, or like played through it once and then kind of went through bits of it a second time.
Yeah, I don't know if this is probably like an optional branch, but you can probe her on like what happened.
Oh yeah,
and I think you can just not ask her.
Right.
I don't think I did a playthrough where I didn't ask though.
Okay, I feel like I may have backed off both times I went through this section.
Yeah.
So maybe you did get information that I didn't.
Yeah, it just cuts to it does like a flashback. It cuts to like a blurry mess on the screen, and she asks you like, "What do you see?"
Yeah, I did get this. Okay.
Yeah, and you kind of type back, and she was like, "No, that's my dad. He just like jumped off the building."
Right. Yeah.
Committed suicide.
Yeah.
So. And that kind of kicks things off in terms of where this person is in their situation. And that kind of gets more fleshed out in the second game.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Well, there's that. Well, I mean, yeah. There's stuff that kind of elaborates on like her relationship with her parents. Which I guess that's the part of the game that I think works the least for me. Especially like the kind of her mom is like eldritch horror stuff is like pretty trite, I think.
Yes, I agree.
Is like hard to, you know, because I mean, I don't think it necessarily totally succeeds with this, but it's definitely trying to have this girl have a lot of like psychological complexity, and there's a lot going on with her, right? Mm-hmm. And sort of trying to take like the ways in which she's illogical or sort of or she is really seriously is like real things, right? Not just like delusions that she has, but like ways that she has to interact with the world, you know? And, you know, it's just hard with I mean, because it's like kids sometimes think about their parents in this way, right? And sometimes are justified to think about their parents in this way, but also they are people. You know, they are real human beings, right, who are going through things, and sort of the way that, you know, you have this like complex character and then everyone else is just kind of a symbol of something else. And that works a lot better when I think it's gestural at like social anxiety, dealing with strangers, having to understand social codes that are difficult, right, as opposed to like a really intimate and intense parental relationship that is bad, right? Yeah. Any more thoughts on the first game? I feel like we've covered most of it. It's not, you know, it's about as long as we've spent talking about it. Yeah. So, you know.
No, that's, pretty much it.
Yeah. So then Milk Outside opens with a cutscene that basically recaps what happens in the first game, which is, you know, go into the store, picking up milk, come back home, and
fully animated. It's an
animated.
It's an anime now.
Yeah. Which already was in the oeuvre of influences, right?
Yeah.
For sure. But yeah, it's drawn out a little more explicitly. And this also has I mean, kind of not at first, because at first it's a little bit closer to the style of the original game, and then once you go into her room, it becomes like more, like even more visual novel-y, where she has like a sprite, right, that you're talking to. Mm-hmm. And it has like a fully animated mouth that says all the you know, the fake speak as the text scrolls across the screen and stuff. But yeah, basically it's like, she feels unsafe outside. Her mother comes and is like this 4-armed beast that has like a shot arm and injects her with something.
Yeah, that was gross.
Yeah.
That was bad. I did not like that.
No, it's very. I was thinking about this, maybe a like 2 movies Boss Baby situation, but I was thinking a lot about how Stephen King writes weird moms playing this. Yeah, it felt kind of a piece.
Yeah.
And then you kind of go into her room, and she, is trying to get to bed. She first she like doesn't take her meds, and you kind of have to talk her into taking them. And then she like gets into bed and is trying to collect her thoughts and imagines that they're fireflies, and then loses them. And so you have to like search through her room, and it's like interactable. You can click on all the different objects in her room and find all the fireflies. And then there's a couple different factors, but basically depending on how many fireflies you get and what objects you look at in the room, you get a different one of 5 endings. And most of those endings are like she goes to bed and has a dream, and the dream is sort of the ending, and then she wakes up, and that's the video game. So I think again we have this thing where it's like you can help her through a real problem in her life, right? But she's still at the end of the thing in the same situation.
Yeah, the YouTube comment I found was like, if you get the least sad cutscene, she should smile at the end of it.
When you understand the game.
Exactly. It's like, what? First of all, which one's least sad? Because they're all sad.
They're all really sad.
She does smile. There are character portions where she's smiling.
Yes,
Shut
that
up.
is true.
Shut the fuck up.
Yeah. So I think one of the things here is there's a lot more, there's just a lot more art, period.
Yes. Yeah.
There's a lot more stuff. And actually, I think this is something that's really admirable about it, is that I think, not that it would have been easy to just make another one in the same style, because I think even if you're just like, oh, it's an hour now as opposed to 15 minutes, like that is a significant jump in scale. But the fact that the game switches between a lot of different formal ideas, especially with the various endings, which all have like very distinct visual identities, is really cool. And I think very, very admirable. I
like the POV shot when she's looking up at the fireflies.
Yeah, me too.
Very neat.
Yeah, and also the music has there's some like guitars and stuff in it. It has a bit of a different character to it. Which again, I think is nice. Like, it's nice to play a sequel that is like really swinging for something a little bit different in tone. Rather than just being like, all right, here is more of this thing, that you were expecting.
Yeah. I found that I didn't care for the voice of the player character as much.
Yeah.
What I appreciate about the first game is that you as the player character can set very clear boundaries on what you want to engage with. With the protagonist, whereas this one feels way more forced. It feels way more author intervening to get the plot moving. I felt like.
Yeah, I think that there's sort of, I think that there's generally a thing with the writing in this that sometimes spells out things a little too clearly. There's like a couple parts in the endings where she's like, and I was really scared, and it's like, yeah. Like, I get why, this situation is scary. It's like, you don't need to like say that. And like, maybe someone would say it in real life or whatever, but in sort of, there does kind of feel like, and some of the endings in particular, and maybe I was noticing it because, I did one ending in the game and then just looked all of them up because it's like, oh, I don't want to do the Fireflies thing for the third time, as we'll maybe talk about in a second. Yeah. But so maybe I had like a little less patience because I was not clicking the thing myself. I was like, wait, and I read really fast also is the thing. So it's like watching someone else like read slowly is like, you know, for me. But yeah, I do feel like there's a little, I mean, again, partially because this game is just more ambitious. I think it does like spell things out a little bit more in a way that again kind of works both for and against it. And also, yeah, it is a little bit less like, you know, you have a little bit less room to negotiate. Although it is pretty easy to avoid the sort of suicide ending, for lack of a better word.
Is that the laptop one?
Yeah, when you have to say like no one cares about you enough to like be watching you,
right?
And then you go outside on the balcony with her, right?
Yeah. But she wakes up after that, right?
I think she does. Yeah.
So,
because I think every ending concludes with the same animation of her waking up and crying. Yeah.
Yeah. I thought that was my favorite one. Which ending did you get the first time you played it?
So I got the "Are We Friends" ending, which is like her talking to like the pizza delivery bot and just like texting about her life. Which is good. I think it's very like, it's just very like I think this is interesting that in the first game online is not really a part of it, and in this game online is like a big element of it. The sense of like, and yeah, in the sort of laptop ending we were just talking about, she basically talks about being harassed by someone that she used to be friends with. And she says, like, he almost convinced me that he was real. Right?
Yeah.
And that's like, oof. It do kind of be like that being online sometimes, where it's like, who can you actually trust that will like treat you and your story with dignity?
Yeah.
And that can be very, I think, especially as a young person, can be really difficult to navigate.
Yeah. I think I like that ending the most just because I liked the visual of just that, like, going down that fucked up apartment spiral.
Yeah.
And the music to accompany it is really, really good. But I did think it was a little bit like we were talking about earlier with the writing. Like she says, like she talks about this guy she met online, and then she asked like the player character, like, you know what would happen after that, right? And you say yes, and then she explains it. I don't know if that's like a translation thing or what, but like that, the way like all that stuff was phrased was like super clumsy. I don't know if like it was gonna be more vague before, and then it got less vague in rewrites or whatever. But yeah, a little bit clumsy in terms of the way that story was told. But I like that ending a lot, actually.
Yeah, I mean, I think have you seen We're All Going to the World's Fair?
No.
Okay, yeah, I think you should, because I think if you like this, you will like that too. Because it's kind of, although it's a little bit more about online specifically, but it's like about a young person getting into like a kind of LARP role play thing called We're All Going to the World's Fair, and like having these weird online social experiences with people that maybe don't actually care about you. And so it kind of pulls some of that stuff. I mean, yeah, I don't know. It's not really directly related to this because they were made simultaneously, basically, right? Came out like 2021.
Okay.
But kind of in the same vein. Yeah. I'm trying to think. I think I like the ending I got maybe the best. I don't know if that's just because it was the first one. I did find like there's kind of the two like oh shoot, what's the Uzumaki guy's name? I'm forgetting.
Junji Ito.
Ito, yeah. Kind of like Ito-esque horror manga ones.
Yeah.
Like, is there anyone there?
Yeah, I got
go ahead, sorry.
I got the Spiral Lighthouse one. As
yeah. Which I think, again, the other one is kind of a oh fuck, I'm forgetting the name of it. This book, House of Leaves kind of thing, where it's like weird infinite space, like you're in a basement and you can't. There's a door and there's a light in the door, but you can run as much as you want and the door will not get any closer, basically. Or, it takes hours for you to reach this door that looks like it's 10 feet away, right? I think that stuff is really creepy and like interesting, but it's too long, which is like weird to say, but it like labors on this point, I think, a little bit too much. And I feel like I Look Down, the Spiral Lighthouse one that you're talking about, has some issues with that too, although it's not as long.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I thought it was fine.
Yeah.
Don't have any strong feelings about the second one as much.
Yeah, I think it is. I think it's one thing that's really cool that we kind of just briefly alluded to is like again, like every ending is really differently stylized. Like the Lighthouse one has this like bitmap, like single point, white dot stuff that looks really cool. And the like, one with the freaky door is like this green, like very minimal sort of light and shadow kind of vibe to it. There's one where you help a boy go get a bag of milk in the way the outline is similar to the first game, and that is like has the same style as the first game, right? So I think the play with like different visual styles here is really cool. The thing is, part of it is that because all the endings kind of wrap around to the same point, like there's not, despite the like wide variance in like presentation, there's not that drastic of a thematic variance between them, I think. Right. Which I both am like, yes, that's really cool, because it's a game about feeling trapped, right? It's a game about feeling like you're in a really bad situation. It takes monumental amounts of effort to make things marginally better for you, right? And the things that are the most destructive and bad in your life, you don't really have control over, right? And so it makes sense that it's like, even with these slight variants or whatever, there's not like a way out of the situation. Which I like, but also I do kind of wish that there was more, I don't know, like maybe the game would be better with two endings or something, right? Like, it doesn't, the additional space doesn't maybe give it as much as you think it would.
Right.
If that makes sense.
Yeah, I definitely felt like after playing the first one, I was like, yeah, that was good video game. And after this one, I was like, don't really know what I was supposed to take out of it, other like that I didn't already get from the first game. I don't know.
Yeah, it definitely moves over some of the same ground. I did like. There's one moment I wanted to shout out though. That is when you talk with her about going to school. And her dad like picking her up and saying, oh, she can't go to school anymore, she's too old. And then like you can make her repeat it a few times, and each time she like brings out more kind of, not necessarily like disturbing, but just like things that are hard to deal with about that situation, right?
Yeah.
I thought that was very well observed, as like the way like talking with someone about something that's really difficult and trying to figure out how to like summarize it to them in a way that's not going to make them go like, oh, that's so fucked up, and like get them to pity you.
Right.
Right? Like I thought that was really smartly observed.
Yeah. I think in general, the way these games sort of handle talking about trauma or just like talking about difficult subjects in general was really nice. Because it's hard to straddle that line between like, this is the video game protagonist, you need to know about them, and just like being like empathetic about the situation, I guess. Just because you as the player can decide like how, like, what is far enough, do I necessarily have to make the protagonist recount all of these situations,
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I mean, I think the way, like, there's that part in the kind of suicide one where where you kind of push her to like talk about the experiences she had with people online. Mm-hmm. And she says, like, you should know that every word I say after this hurts me. Right.
Yeah.
That there is this real foregrounding of like trying to pull this stuff out has like consequences. Right. Mm-hmm. And, and I think sometimes it's like positive, right? Like sometimes it is like confronting something, like someone pushing you to confront something gets you somewhere, but also sometimes you're not ready for it, right? And you need to be in a different situation before you can really like process what happened to you, Yeah. And so I feel like some of those, like the things that people do to deal with bad situations they're in is very sympathetically rendered. Like her being like, I have this perfect picture of the room, and so we can't move anything in it. Yeah. Because if we move anything in it, then I'll lose this, And it's like, yeah, I think that's, it's like that stability is like really important to her because she's in such a bad place, I think that like, yeah, like I think some of those details are really strong. Part of me doesn't know how to resolve this either, but I was talking a little bit about the kind of voyeuristic quality, or sort of you were outside of the situation, right? And looking in. And I don't really know how you make a game that's about being in the situation without just doing like a depression quest kind of style thing, which maybe isn't bad, but like maybe there's just no way to resolve this, because I like some of the elements of distance. I like that you can't fix things for her. But there is still a way in which like I relate way more with her than I do with the observer, right?
Yeah. And
there's not really like a place for that perspective in the game, right? Because she's so alone, so I don't quite know. I don't know if that's a circle that can't be squared, but that is something that was like actively kind of like, oh, I wish the game was more about this. But at that point, it's just something kind of different. I can go play Silent Hill 3,
Yeah. No, I mean, yeah, that's interesting. There is kind of, it's hard to say how much of this is like autobiographical in terms of like how much, because I mean it's very sensitively written, except for in one of the endings where it's pointedly not, and so it's hard to say like just in terms of how much are we relating to the person writing it, or just how much of this is just, fiction,
Yeah.
Because it's, I don't know, the way that, like, generally, like, broadly, like, we kind of engage with, like, autobiographical stuff that's, like, relatable. Doesn't feel that different from just, like, playing this visual novel, There's always going to be like that voyeuristic aspect to it.
For sure.
I don't think that this game is interested in squaring that. I don't know.
No, and I don't think necessarily it has to, right? Like I think there's also sort of there can be an unfair demand of stuff like this where it's like, oh, this is a game about mental health, which means it has to address all the things that I feel and experience. Like I have to relate to it perfectly in order for it to be good. And if I don't, then it's bad representation.
It's bad, yeah.
Right. And but I do think, I will say though, I was thinking a little bit about Etherane's work playing this, which is also, I actually didn't realize that this is, so it's the devs from Russia, which is like cool. Cause I just think there's a really interesting video game scene coming out of like the Eastern Bloc. And thinking about the way, I mean, Disco Elysium being the like biggest example of that, but like Flesh, Blood, and Concrete, like Etherane stuff, and this, I feel like are all sort of interested in like post-Soviet alienation and like doing interesting, cool things with it. But I feel like Aetherane stuff is like the way that those games kind of mess with like fundamental expectations of how the world works and then kind of force you to like think about problems in a new and different way is really, really cool. And I think maybe gets you somewhere, at least a little more interesting to me than this kind of like more straightforward abstraction. The thing is that I don't know how Aetherane does it because it seems fucking hard. Like, you know, is the thing. It's like if I was going to write a novel about being depressed, I'd probably just write about being depressed, you know. So, and I don't necessarily think the straightforwardness is bad, but I do think that like, yeah, I don't know. Just thinking about like, Tomorrow Won't Come With Those Without Blank is like such a evocative piece that evokes so many different things with very deliberate and layered gestures. Yeah, I don't know. And so just not to be like, this game I like is better, but I do think that, I guess. But it's like, you know, yeah, just, I don't know, thinking about ways that we depict and like work through this kind of stuff, especially in like kind of supernatural horror toned kinds of things, right? You know, and I think, yeah, it's just cool to see like there are a lot of games like kind of interested in this stuff and they're all in conversation with each other. And that's pretty neat. And in a way that feels meaningful, like they're not just copies, right?
Yeah.
I don't know. Sorry, I kind of went off there, so I appreciate you being patient. But yeah, but I would like to, if you know, listen, dear listener, if you know of any cool like Estonian or Russian or what, you know, video games about people being sad and they're like, well, itch games probably, I want to know, tell me about them, please. I want to hear about them. Maybe we'll cover them, more of them on the show.
Yeah.
We'll see. Oh, you know, maybe we should do a Hello Charlotte episode because I haven't played those yet. I don't know if that's really in our wheelhouse, though. We'll have to talk about it.
We'll talk about it.
Yeah.
I mean, we're straight up just covering visual novels at this point, so it's like
yeah,
kind of a moot point.
Yeah, I mean, I guess it's like I guess the podcast is built on survival horror, but I always kind of understood that as like a broader thing. Although I don't think we'll ever be like, it's time for 5 episodes on Umineko or whatever. Like maybe I'll play it and I'll talk about it on the show. We're not gonna do an episode on something like a 50-hour visual novel.
No, I'd rather die. I'd rather die than get somebody to make me finish Omori. You know?
Oh, yeah.
That game's so long.
Well,
we didn't talk about this. We didn't talk about this, but the game has a bug where if you click on a certain object in the game just freezes. You can't do anything.
I was galaxy braining about this because you click on this grate in her room, and then I was
also galaxy braining about this, but I couldn't progress.
Yeah, she's like, it's hard to escape this place, and it's like, damn, no, I can't click through to the next line.
I can't do shit.
You know, and I think actually, like, this is, but the game where that gets you to the place where you can galaxy brain like that, you're probably at an interesting spot. Yeah. You know, like that's cool that it can get you to do that.
Yeah,
but.
Yeah, it made me think that there wasn't a bug and I was too dumb to progress through the game. But I literally tried everything. So
yeah, no, I mean the same thing happened to me. So if you're dumb, we're both dumb. Oh yeah, we didn't talk about the mirror ending. I think this is the worst one.
Which one is the mirror one?
So it's like she's just looking in the mirror and says the same line over and over again.
Oh yeah, that one.
And then her like face changes.
That one's very. It feels very of a piece with like Five Nights at Freddy's or something. Like,
Right.
we're just going to queue up some jump scares,
Yeah, when it's just kind of, it's the same. Like, I don't think none of the ways her reflection changes are like freaky enough.
Yeah.
That it's like, oh, we needed like 10 of these to build up to something like really fucked up. It's just like, yeah, like body dysmorphia be like that, I guess.
Yeah.
Or whatever sort of, or dysphoria or whatever you want to read into it. There's a lot of stuff you could put into it, but yeah, I didn't super care for that. And I think, yeah, that's like a general problem with the endings for me, or at least a couple of them, is like real lingering in an emotional space that is like, I mean, it doesn't really pay off for me, right? That doesn't really get anything. Like, it feels like, oh, this ending could have been half as long and it would have gotten to the same place that it did.
Exactly. Yeah. That was my problem with the one where you go shopping with the kid.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And the whole thing is like, you're annoyed at the kid for being annoying, and then you go to the store and then everybody's annoyed at the kid or whatever.
Yeah, well, then you have like, you're sympathetic. You kind of realize, oh, this kid is like doobie like me. I am also annoying to other people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't like that one. If you're gonna throw the R word in there, it's make it. I don't know. Do something with it. It just kind of didn't land. I don't know.
Yeah.
It's also like in the art style as the first game, so it's like you're kind of playing the first game but she's the insert character.
Right, exactly, yeah. Mm-hmm.
But it felt very...
well, yeah, I think one of the things is that as soon as you understand that that's the gesture that it's making, you kind of can feel the shape of the rest of the ending.
Yeah, exactly.
Right, and then you just have to like walk through it. And I think generally it could stand to have a little more confidence in its gestures, right?
Yeah.
Not that it's like, it's not a super like, I am spelling things out for you kind of thing, but I think it could be more restrained than it is, and I think it would benefit from it.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's basically it. In terms of stuff. I'm sure there's stuff. And the thing is, like, I think if you've listened to this and haven't played it, I would suggest that you check it out. And it sounds interesting to you, right? I think there is, even if we've covered like a lot of the thematic ground, there is something to the act of playing it that will get you somewhere, I think.
These
our conversation won't.
Yeah, these are definitely good. I enjoyed my time with them. They're short as hell. And I really enjoyed it. We played so much Dino Crisis that reading text on a screen and thinking about them, I was like, thank God.
Yeah.
Yeah,
finally something that requires my intellect.
I know.
Speaking of which, next month we're playing Xbox exclusive Dino Crisis 3.
And probably the rail shooter too.
Oh, yes, that too, yeah.
Unless I just watched some Let's Play of that is more likely what's going to happen. Well,
it's only an hour according to How Long to Beat, so either way you're in for not a long time.
Yeah, it's true.
But, yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Final
stretch of the
it's
Dino Crisis saga.
It's tough. I'm curious about 3. I am like, because I do feel like 2 was such a downgrade from 1. And maybe that's just because I just would rather, especially for this show, I'd rather play a survival horror game than an action game. So we'll see. I don't know. I don't have like a take yet. I'm just like, oh, I liked Dino Crisis 1 a lot. I did not like 2. So we'll see how this goes.
Yeah. Ready.
But
I got a cool original Xbox ready to go.
Yeah, you're really doing it, because I'm definitely just gonna emulate it.
Yeah, so. This is me. Instead of like buying a Steam Deck, this is what I do.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I did. I guess the thing
and buying an Xbox is a lot more affordable than buying a Steam Deck.
That's true, I guess. Yeah. Although, yeah, I only could. Well, yeah, because me and Emma visited our families, and on the flight home they overbooked, and so we got paid to stay hotel in like vouchers. So I got 2 Target gift cards and bought an Xbox.
Hell yeah.
Which is just good. It's cool. It was cool. I played Mirror's Edge and there's no loading screens.
Yeah, it's pretty fucking sick.
Yeah, it's pretty neat. Also, you know what? Mirror's Edge, that game slams. That game's cool
good.
as hell.
Oh my god.
It's crazy that they never made another one of those.
I know. Bummer.
It's also crazy that they never, like, I guess there's fucking Dying Light or whatever, but like there's no, like, are there any other parkour games? There have to be. There has to be like something on Steam that's probably pretty good that I just don't know about.
I don't know. Would it like is Neon White one of those? Like maybe.
That's such a good maybe. And there's like a lot of, but the thing is, Neon White is a little. It's like very fast paced and it's not as grounded, because that's part of the appeal of Mirror's Edge to me, is that it's like you're just a human body,
right?
You know, and most of the movement in the game is like plausible for a human body to do. Not all of it, but most of it, you know. Whereas like Neon White, it's like you are not just like a person. You are like you're a speed demon. And I haven't played that. So I'm not saying it's bad. It's just not. Neither. Yeah. It's just not. I don't think it's exactly what I would be looking for from like, oh, I want to play something that's like Mirror's Edge, you know.
Yeah.
But
yeah, not a lot of other games I can think of.
Yeah. Again, listener call. If you're like, damn, I can't believe Grace hasn't heard of this game that's on Steam and it's kind of like Mirror's Edge, hit me up, please. Let me know. I want to play it. Oh yeah, I also been playing Halo some more because I have an Xbox now, and it's wild how goofy the skins have gotten in that game since the last time I was playing it.
Yeah. Well, they got to pivot to being multiplayer only.
Yeah. Also, it was very funny because I was like, oh, I haven't tuned in for a while. I bet like more multiplayer story stuff has happened, and basically no. It's like developing so slowly. It's like it's been a year and like 2 things have happened in the multiplayer story. Like, what is going on?
Every time I load up the game, it shows me the cutscene of.
Yes, me too. What is up with that? I'm
just like, why are you showing me this again?
I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah, well, shall we go ahead, sorry.
Umurangi is not quite this, but you do a lot of parkour and it's about navigating a space, but it's not the same game.
Yeah. I would even say it's closer to Tony Hawk than it is to Mirror's Edge, although they're definitely all in conversation with each other.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's the dystopian angle too, I guess. Although it's like, the thing is in Mirror's Edge, that stuff is like so milquetoast. It's just like, yeah, it's like bad. There's cameras and stuff. And you're like, okay.
What if this wall was red? Isn't that fucked up?
Whereas like obviously Umurangi Generation is like real shit. You know? Like that has actual stuff going on in it. I should play. I never played the DLC, so
it's good.
I should fucking get back on that. Yeah, it's a good game.
Good game.
Yeah. Oh, and I started Plague's Tale. Requiem.
How's that?
It's fine. It's, you know, hey, you remember Plague's Tale 1? Did you play that? It's like that.
Okay.
Yeah, it's okay. I don't know. Kind of have. Oh, go ahead.
Will it remind me of a Naughty Dog game, and then I'll be like,
"Oh, yes, it will."
Then I'll be like, "Oh, yeah, that's why I don't play Naughty Dog games. They're boring."
The thing is, I have like I mean, I wrote a whole piece about this back on the day that I would probably word a little less strongly now than I did then about like the idea of apocalypse is like really recurrent and kind of like historically based in Plague's Tale. So it's not like, oh, the whole world has ended and like we need to restore civilization through like a strong hand, which is kind of what's happening in The Last of Us, right? That's really not in this at all, which is nice. But I don't really know if that makes it like good. It's just, you know, I don't know. I also just like, I have a weakness for a holding hands mechanic in a video game.
Sure.
You know, I like that.
The Silent Hill 4 good ending haver has logged on.
Oh, fucking nailed me to the wall. Why don't you?
God, the ending of that game where fucking the fucking it's the conveyor belt of her falling into the fucking, you know, fucking, you know, river of blood, and then me like not even trying. She just like might as well just like she fucking ran into that shit. She's like, I'm going in, chief.
I'm so done with this shitty man who's been not helping me this whole time. Yeah,
it's so funny.
But you're right. One of the bad endings in that game is the best one. So, you know,
it's true. I was right there. I was right then, and I'm right now. It's
yeah, that's so true. All right, should we wrap up and do plugs? I don't think I have any more Xbox bullshit to talk about.
Yeah, you can find me on Twitter at BlueSrose430, the podcast at Podcast Safe Room, and you can find the website abnormalmapping.com or spookygame.club.
That's right. You can email us questions at spookygame.club. We did not solicit questions this time because we both spaced about it, and I always space about it. So, you know, but yeah, you can find me on Twitter at Grace_Machine, and you can support things I do on Patreon at Grace in the Machine, patreon.com/Grace in the Machine. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's all I got. I just have like, I want a snippy little throwback line, but I haven't got anything.
You want to shoot some dinosaurs? Let's go shoot some dinosaurs now.
Hell yeah. It's time for Turok.